There is a number on a screen. You are looking at it right now, in this version of your life, in a small room with the blinds half closed. 7 figures, a 1, followed by 6 zeros. It belongs to you, and no one else on the planet knows it exists. You close the laptop. You walk into the kitchen. You make coffee with the same spoon you have used for years, and nothing has changed in the room around you. That is the first thing they never tell you about $1 million. Most people imagine wealth as transformation, a new house, a new car, a different version of themselves walking into a different kind of life. They picture the moment the money arrives as a door swinging open. That's not what happens. What happens is silence. The number sits inside your phone like a stone dropped into a still lake, and the surface barely moves. The world outside your window keeps its exact shape. Your neighbor still doesn't wave. The bus is still late. You are now, by every measure a bank can record, a wealthy person. And you are standing in your kitchen, holding a spoon, completely alone with it. This is where the real story begins, because money, it turns out, was never the thing you thought it was. For most of human history, wealth was loud. It had to be. A man's status lived in what others could see, the size of his herd, the stone of his house, the gold he wore so the village would understand who he was before he spoke. Wealth was a performance staged for an audience. It only existed when it was witnessed. But a number on a screen needs no witness. And the moment your fortune becomes invisible, something strange begins to move inside you. Researchers who study sudden wealth have noticed a pattern they did not expect. The people who keep their money secret do not feel freer. At first, they feel watched. You start reading faces. The friend who asks how work is going. The relative who lingers a little too long on the subject of money. You begin to wonder what they would do if they knew. And the wondering does not stop. Every conversation now has a second layer underneath it. A question you can never ask out loud. Would you still be sitting here if you knew? This is the quiet weight no one warns you about. A secret does not lighten you. It isolates you, and it changes how you see the people you love most. Consider the smallest test of it. A friend invites you to dinner, and at the end of the meal, the bill arrives, and you watch them do the thing you used to do. The quiet math, the flicker of calculation behind the eyes, the way a number can shrink a person for half a second. You could erase it. You could end that flicker for everyone at the table forever. With money, you would not even feel leave. And you say nothing. You split the bill evenly, like always. Because the moment you reach for your wallet differently, the secret is gone. And with it, something you cannot name yet but are not ready to lose. So you perform poverty you no longer have. You become an actor in your own life. And the strangest part is how good you get at it. The complaints about prices. The careful budgeting you no longer need. You maintain the costume so precisely that some mornings you almost believe it yourself, until you open the screen and the number is still there, patient, waiting. Like a second self you keep locked in a drawer. Here's what the silence does next. With no one to spend it for, no audience to perform it to, the money stops being about objects. You realize you don't actually want the boat, or the watch, or the second house. You wanted what those things were supposed to say about you. And now that no one is listening, the message has nowhere to go. So the wealth turns inward. It becomes time. The freedom to say no. The slow disappearance of a specific kind of fear. The 3 A-E-M fear. The what if the car breaks fear. The fear that has shaped almost every decision you have ever made without you noticing. That fear has a name in economics. They call it scarcity. And for your entire life, it has been quietly editing your thoughts. Now it goes quiet. And in that quiet, you discover something unsettling. You don't feel rich. You feel exposed. Because the money was never solving the problem you thought it was solving. You believe the anxiety came from not having enough. But the anxiety is still there. It has simply lost its excuse. And for the first time, you have to look directly at the thing underneath it. Most people never have to. This is the part of wealth that doesn't appear in the fantasy. The fantasy ends at the bank. The reality begins the morning after, when you wake up as the exact same person, in the exact same body, carrying the exact same mind. Only now there's nothing left to blame. Scientists studying lottery winners found this again and again. Within a few years, most returned to roughly the level of happiness they had before. Not because the money disappeared, because they did not. You are still the variable that never changed. Eventually, you test it. You allow yourself one thing, something small at first, a meal you would never have ordered, a small luxury you always denied yourself. And there is a flash of pleasure, sharp and real. But it fades faster than you expected. So you reach for something larger, and it fades too. This is a mechanism the mind runs on, older than money itself. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. The way every new pleasure quietly resets to become your new normal, leaving you exactly where you started, reaching again. You begin to understand the trap. It was never the lack of money that made you want more. It was wanting itself. And no number, however large, can fill a space that was never shaped like money in the first place. So the question changes. It stops being, what can I buy, and becomes something far more difficult to live with. If buying does not satisfy me, then what was I ever really chasing? And yet, there is a version of this story that is not a warning, because the silent million does give you one thing that loud wealth never could. It gives you a mirror with no audience in it, stripped of the performance, of the things bought to be seen, of the status spent on strangers. What is left is simply you, and a question most people spend their whole lives too afraid to ask. If no one is watching, what do I actually want? Most human ambition is borrowed. We chase the houses our parents wanted, the success our culture rewards, the life that would look right in the eyes of people we may not even like. We mistake the applause for the desire, and the silent fortune does something almost cruel in its kindness. It removes the applause entirely and dares you to keep wanting the same things. Almost no one does. What rises instead, slowly, is quieter and harder to spend. The wish to be understood by one person rather than admired by 1,000. The pull toward work that would mean something, even if it paid nothing. The strange relief of an afternoon with nowhere to be. These were always there. Underneath the noise. The money did not create them. It only turned the noise down far enough for you to finally hear them. So you sit in your kitchen with your old spoon and your impossible number, and you understand at last what the money was always trying to show you. It was never wealth. It was a test. A quiet, patient test of whether you ever knew what you wanted or whether you were only ever running from the fear of having less. The screen goes dark. The coffee is still warm. And somewhere in a room exactly like this one, all over the world, there are people carrying secrets exactly this size. Millionaires no one will ever recognize, walking among us in ordinary coats, having learned the one thing the rest of us are still trying to buy our way around. That money cannot tell you who you are. It can only, finally, stop you from pretending.